So here is the fourth type of conic section, and this is the hyperbola. So this is what a hyperbola is. So I'm going to give you the definition of the hyperbola. And basically think of the hyperbola as the opposite of an ellipse. So kind of going the other direction. So a hyperbola is just all points in a plane where the difference of their distances from two fixed points is constant. Okay, that's basically what a hyperbola is. And if you want to take a look at the hyperbola and the distances from two fixed points is still the foci, let me just tell you what the hyperbola kind of looks like. The hyperbola kind of looks like two parabolas going in opposite directions. Okay, so they're either going to be horizontal like that, or they're either going to be vertical like this. Now, these hyperbolas actually have sets of asymptotes. So you actually have asymptotes that kind of are slanted like this. And then for this class, you don't have to worry so much about the asymptotes. I will tell you how you can figure out these asymptotes, and because I mainly want you to know how to graph these. So, and how to graph them are actually very similar to the ellipse, and you'll see what the differences is. So if you have something that's horizontal like this, a horizontal hyperbola, the equation of the hyperbola is going to be this. It's going to be x minus h squared over a squared, so far so good, minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. And then this one's going to be y minus k squared over a squared minus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. So that's what the hyperbola is going to look like for both of these types of problems. So one of the things to really notice is that whichever one is positive is where the hyperbola is going to be opening up. So see how the x is positive here is going to be opening up on the x direction. The y is positive here, so it's going to be opening up in the y direction. Okay, so if you want to know what my asymptotes are going to be, this is not really important, but like you can kind of just take a look at it. The asymptote is going to be y equals plus or minus b over a times x, and my asymptotes here is going to be y equals plus or minus a over b times x, if you really want to take a look at that. Okay, here hk is still the center of the hyperbola. Okay, and a and b still correspond with the amount of units away. So the way that we're going to graph these hyperbolas are going to be a little bit weird, but it'll make sense in a bit. So let's just start off by just graphing a couple of them. So let's say I want to graph this hyperbola. X squared over 25 minus y squared over 4 equals 1. All right, so the first thing to notice is that the x squared here is positive. So that means it's going to be opening up in the x direction. So in the x direction is when it's going to open up. So we also notice that the center in this case is going to be equal to 0, 0. So we're going to start off with 0, 0. So this is how we're going to do it. So it first starts at 0, 0. That's the center. Now, in the x direction, I'm going to go the square root of 25, which is going to be 5 units. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the y direction is going to be 2 units. 2 and 2. Now, instead of drawing an ellipse, instead what we're going to do, we're going to draw a box. Okay, so we're going to draw this box like this. Pretty box. All right, and then for each corner, we're just going to draw a line. These lines are actually my asymptotes. Okay, so we're going to draw these lines. And then where is it opening up? It's opening up in the x direction. So here is the vertex, okay, and it's going to open up this way, and it's going to line up with these asymptotes. Same thing, but it's not going to cross the asymptotes, right? And that's it. That's what the hyperbola is going to look like. Okay, so here my asymptotes. This box is mainly used for reference. It's not part of the graph, but it's useful to kind of just take a look at. It's mainly there to really help you out to graph problems like this. Okay, so let's do some more problems. So let's say we want to graph some more. Let's say we want to graph x minus 2 squared over 4 minus y plus 1 squared over 9 equals 1. Okay, so you can try it if you want, or you can wait for me. So first thing to look at is, where's my center? Where is my center going to be at? So my center is no longer at 0, 0. It's going to be at 2, comma, negative 1. That's where my center is going to be at. Okay, because we have a 2 here and we have a negative 1. It's going to be the opposite. So let me just graph this. So it's going to be 2 and then negative 1. Let me make this better. So here's 1, 2, and here's negative 1. Okay, so here's my center. Okay, now from my center in the x direction, I'm going to go 2 units over. 1, 2, right there. And then 1, 2. In the y direction, I'm going to use 3 units over because that's the square root of 9. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now all I gotta do is just draw this box because it's not an ellipse. If it was an ellipse, then I would be done. Okay. I'm gonna draw my asymptotes. And all I gotta do is just see where it opens up. It opens in the x direction because x is positive. So it's gonna go from here, this way, and from here, this way. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay. So let's do one problem where we actually have to complete the square for these hyperbolas. Okay, so graph by converting into standard form. Okay, so this one, let's say we had 4x squared minus 9y squared minus 24x minus 36y minus 36 equals 0. Okay, so here we want to go ahead and convert it to standard form, and then we'll graph it at the end. So first, let's group all of our x's. So here's my x and here's my x. This is going to be 4x squared minus 24x. Then I'm going to group all my y's. Negative 9y squared. There's another negative 36y. Then this other 36 doesn't really do anything, so I'm going to add the 36 over, and just to get rid of it, equals 36. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. So first the x's, I'm going to take out a 4 out first. 4x squared minus 6x. I'm going to leave a blank spot there. Now for my y's, I'm going to get rid of a negative 9. So I'm left with a y squared. When I took out a negative 9, this gives me a positive 4y. I'll leave a space there, equals 36 on the outside. Okay, now let me complete the square. Take negative 6 divided by 2 and then square it. This gives me negative 3 squared, which gives me 9. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add a 9. Now I can't just add a 9 just because. So I have a 9 and then I have a 4 outside. So I'm going to add a 36 over there. Add the 36. And now for my other one, I'm going to take this 4 divided by 2 and square it. This gives me 2 squared, which gives me 4. I'm going to add 4 here. Can't just add a 4. I got to go ahead and multiply it by this negative 9, which gives me negative 36. So I'm going to put negative 36 on the other side. Okay, so now I'm ready to factor all this out. So this is going to give me 4. Let me factor this out. This is going to be x minus 3 squared minus 9 y plus 2 squared equals, this is going to be 36. Okay. Now all we got to do is just divide by 36. Divide by 36, divide by 36, divide by 36. So I'm going to have x minus 3 squared divided by 9 minus y plus 2 squared divided by 4 equals 1. All right, so this is going to be my equation in standard form. So now let me go ahead and graph this. My center of the hyperbola is going to be 3 comma negative 2. So here's 3, and here's negative 2. Here's my center. In the x direction, I'm going to go 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. In the y direction, I'm going to go 2 units. 1, 2. Then 1, 2. I'm going to draw a box, just like how we did before. I'm going to draw my asymptotes. And then I'm just going to draw the hyperbola. And since it's going in this direction, it's because the x is positive in this case. Okay? So that's all there is with this completing the square. Let's just do one more problem. 4y squared minus 25x squared is equal to 100. Okay? So same thing as before. Notice that it's not in standard form because it's not equal to 1. I'm going to divide it by 100 to get rid of it. So this gives me, this is just going to give me 25 y squared over 25. This is going to give me x squared over 4. Okay. And now let's just go ahead and graph it. So it's the center here is just going to be 0, 0. I'm going to go 5 units in the y direction, 2 units in the x direction, because that's the x and this is the y. And I draw the box. I'm going to draw my asymptotes. And now since the y is positive, the hyperbola is going to be going upward. Okay, so now it's a vertical hyperbola. Okay, and that's all there is to it.